Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new week and welcome to a brand new edition of what I like to call For the Birds, where I talk about different forms of negative and toxic ass behavior, the effects that behavior has on us and our mental health, and what we can do to have a better understanding of it and more control over it in order to have a better quality of our lives going forward. I know it's been a few weeks since I've done one of these. And I'm sorry for the long delay, but I am back this week and I'm here to talk about a specific subject that has been hitting close home to me in the last few weeks and one I want to share with you guys today so you could have a good understanding of it, just the way I've been able to have a better understanding of it as I've gotten older. And that one subject I want to talk to you guys today about is picking your friends wisely. This past week, I actually visited my hometown of South Florida for a few days. Got to see some old friends, got to get some sun, as you can see on my face right now. And it did me a lot of good. I really enjoyed myself. But the one thing that stood out to me the most throughout that whole trip was the time I spent with a lot of my old friends from high school. It had been a long time since I had seen a lot of these people, and even longer time seeing all of them together in the same place. But from getting them all together in that same place and interacting with them and seeing where we're at in our lives now compared to when we used to hang out regularly 20 years ago, it made me realize how important it is to choose your friends wisely. And it made me realize how important it is to know the difference between your real friends and your fake friends. When we're younger, specifically probably high school years, many of us had that need for acceptance and need to fit in with the cool kids or need to fit in with any kind of clique. And the last thing you ever wanted to feel was like you were being left out. And while in the process, you may have gained some friends and had some fun. At the same time, in some cases, many people picked friends and picked people to hang out with that brought them down the wrong path as opposed to the right path. Many of them pick friends, honestly, in many cases, who are getting into trouble, doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and much worse, trying to get you to do those same things with them. And granted, during that time, that kind of negative behavior is more common. And yeah, in high school years, especially, it's very hard to keep away from that kind of negative influence. I get that. But when you get to the point where you're my age, it is very extra important to know the difference between the friends who are going to get you into the places you need to be in and the friends you're just simply killing time with. It's an unfortunate lesson. I've had to learn the hard way. I'm sure many of you had to learn the hard way too, but it is a lesson that we must learn regardless. And if we don't learn from that lesson, and if we don't realize how important it is to know the difference between the two, then where we end up and the life we end up living is not one we're going to be proud of. So what are the different type of friends that you should probably stay away from, who do you more harm than good, and in general who are more a liability than they are an asset? What are the type of friends that make up this description? Well, one example of the type of friend you should probably stay away from and steer clear from is the type of friend who is unreliable. Whether it comes to your career, whether it comes to your relationships, or in this case, whether it comes to being a friend, the one quality somebody in these areas in their lives needs is the quality of being reliable. Meaning, if you know you have to be at a specific place and at a specific time, and somebody asks you for a helping hand and you say you're going to give them that helping hand, you do those things to the T. But unfortunately, many of us have friends, if you even want to call them friends, who are not reliable and who you can't depend on. And sadly, many of these people will talk about how much they value your friendship, how you're the best friend they've ever had, and how they'll do anything for you. And they'll even go on to make plans with you, say that you guys should hang out, you guys should catch up, you guys should go to this place at this time, everything you want to hear. But when it comes time to deliver on those promises and deliver on those plans, that person is nowhere to be found. They'll come up with any excuse in the book as to why they can't honor the plans they made with you or honor any kind of commitment they made to you or any favor they made to you. It'll be a list a mile long. They weren't feeling well. They had to work that day. They were having car trouble. The sun was in their eyes that day. They didn't have the right flavor of ice cream at the supermarket, so it put them in a bad headspace. Whatever fucking excuse they can come up with, they will use that excuse to get out of whatever plans they made with you and get out of whatever commitments they made to you. You know why? Because their ass is unreliable. And if you are not reliable, I hate to say it, you are not a good friend. And ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, many of us have people in our lives that we like a lot, that we want to be close to, and that we want to have a strong bond with, but their unreliability and their flakiness makes that shit impossible. And people like this, while they might not be terrible people, while they might not be quote unquote bad people, they are not people that you can call your friends. Because a real friend is somebody whose word actually holds weight. And sadly, people like this who are super unreliable and super flaky are people, unfortunately, whose word does not mean shit. And I've had many friends like this throughout my lifetime who I thought initially were my friends, who I thought I could depend on, who I thought I could rely on, who told me every single last thing I wanted to hear, but they did not come through in the times when it mattered most. And it's very important for you to recognize these qualities in certain people around you, because the sooner you recognize these qualities in these people and the sooner you accept these qualities in people and don't expect anything from them, the better off you will be. You could still be cordial with these people. You could still be nice to these people. But as far as calling them your real friend or calling them somebody that you can actually depend on when shit hits the fan, that ain't it, bro. Those people, they ain't it. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you accept that, and the sooner you put these people in the place in your life where they belong, then the less harm they can do to you. And most importantly of all, the less chances they have of disappointing you. The reason why is because you don't expect anything from them. And when you do not expect anything from anyone or anybody, you won't ever be disappointed. So just always watch out for those people you know are unreliable, because unreliable ass people make really shitty ass friends. Another type of friend that you should take notice of and especially keep your distance from at all costs is the type of friend who is unmotivated and lazy. It's one thing to hang out with somebody like that when you're younger, when you're in grade school, high school, whatever it is, and that definitely will have an effect on you. But it is a whole nother animal when you are a grown adult and you hang out with people like that on the regular. Because the saying is true. If you hang out with five different people who live the same way and act the same way, chances are you're going to be the sixth one who acts and behaves the same way as them. And that same shit applies to this scenario. If you hang out with five lazy ass, unmotivated ass people, chances are you are going to be the sixth one. Because when you're hanging out with unmotivated, lazy ass people who are not doing shit with their lives, not going anywhere with their lives, have no dreams, have no goals, are never productive, wake up fucking at 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and don't do shit with their whole day, that shit is going to weigh down on you. May not happen right away, may not happen overnight, but eventually, if you hang out with these type of people long enough, their bullshit is going to rub off on you. And especially if you're somebody who has goals, who has aspirations, and who wants more out of their lives, the last type of people you should be hanging out with or kicking it with like that are people who are the complete opposite. And I've been through these stages myself where I've hung out with people who did not have any goals, did not have any dreams, did not do anything with their lives that was productive. And all they did all day was get high, get drunk, play video games, and bullshit. And look, I'm not saying I don't do some of those things myself in my free time, but there is a time and place for it. And I just know from experience, from hanging out with people like that who weren't trying, who weren't doing anything with their lives, and hanging out with people who actually had goals and were doing things with their lives, I will pick the latter one every single damn time. Because I spent enough time around people who were lazy, unmotivated, had no goals, had no dreams, had no aspirations. I've spent enough time around these people to know that that is not the shit that I want for me. That's not the life that I want to live, and that's not the future that I want to have. And if people like that are not living the life that I want to live and are not on the path that I want to be on, then I don't need to be spending that kind of time with them. I'll be cordial with them. Maybe if I see them at a get together, I'll talk with them for a few minutes. But as far as like hanging out with them every single day and calling them my real true friends, it's a whole nother story, yo. You have to watch for those lazy ass people, and not just with friends, also especially with relationships, because you don't want to be dating somebody or getting married to somebody who doesn't have a direction in their lives, who doesn't have any motivation, doesn't have any goals. Because somebody like that is going to have too much time on their hands. And when people have that much time on their hands and are never productive with their time, they're going to use their time to do negative things 9 times out of 10. And not even just that, they'll probably use all their time trying to focus on what you're doing or what you're up to and not give you a moment of peace half the time. And I've not only hung out with people like this, probably more than I should have, I've even been that person myself before. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. It's who I was at the time. And from being that kind of person at the time, I can tell you from experience that it sucks to be that person, and it sucks just as much to hang around people like that too. Yeah, so keep an eye out in your circle of friends for the ones who are lazy, who don't do shit with their lives, and try to get you in the process to not do shit with your life either. Telling you. And lastly, the type of friend that you need to keep an eye out for and also especially keep your distance from is the type of friend who constantly puts you down. Look, when you're friends with a group of people, especially for a long period of time, it's common to roast each other every now and then. My best friends and I, for instance, we do this battle every year. We've been doing for the last 18 years where we say the meanest, most disrespectful shit to each other, but it's not personal. We do it for fun. We do it as a way to stay creative, and we just do it in a way to stay connected because we don't live in the same place. But there's a difference between that and the type of friends who just always shit on you. Whether it's how they speak to you, how they treat you, how they respond to your goals and aspirations. Friends who are not supportive and friends who just shit on everything you do and shit on all of your goals and all of your dreams might as well be your enemies. Yeah, because if your friends are your biggest haters and your friends are your biggest doubters, then straight up, I don't even know why you're even friends with them in the first place. Because people like that, douchebags like that, are not friends. And to hang out with these type of people and keep these people around you is not a recipe for success. The more you keep these kind of assholes around you, the more you entertain these kind of assholes and keep them in your life, the more draining it is going to be on you and your mental health. Because I mean it when I say it, keeping people in your life, so-called friends at that, who always talk down to you, always shit on you, always treat you poorly, and always shit on all of your dreams when they don't even have any dreams themselves. That shit, all of it, is for the birds. And the sooner you can cut their asses off and move on with your life, the closer you'll get to the places you really want to be. But those toxic ass friends, those negative ass friends, and you can't even call them friends because of the way they treat you, there is no place in your life for them. And the less time and less space you give to them, the more time and more space you'll have for your real friends. And now that I've talked about the different kind of friends that you should avoid and the type of friends that you should cut out of your life, let's talk about the friends that you should keep in your life and that you should value and that you should spend as much time with as you can. What are the type of friends that make up this description? Well, first off, tying into the point that I made earlier, the type of friends you need to keep around you are the ones who are reliable. The best kind of friends to have around are the ones you know that you can trust, and more importantly, the ones that you know whose word means everything. When they say they're going to do something, when they say they're going to be there for you at a certain place and at a certain time, they do that shit. You don't have to question their loyalty. You don't have to question their reliability. You don't have to question whether or not they're going to flake on you. When you know that they're reliable, when you know you can depend on them, then somebody like that is a real friend. I've been lucky enough to have friends like that throughout my life, and many of them I'm still friends with today. And also, I've been lucky enough to have many family members in my life who are the same way. Because when it comes to any relationship, friendship being one of them, one of the most important components that you need is reliability. If you can't rely on somebody, then any relationship you have with them is just not going to work. But if you can rely on them, you can trust them, and you know that they will come through for you when you need them, then that is a friend for life. And that is a friend that is worthy and deserving of being in your inner circle and being a part of your life. And those are the type of friends that if they ever need a helping hand and if they ever need a favor within reason, you will have no problem returning the favor. The reason why is because you know they are good for it. And like I said before, that reliability thing isn't just important for friendships. It's also important for relationships and marriages. It's also important for your careers and your businesses. And it's also important just overall for any part of your life. If you're reliable and the people around you are reliable and dependable, then that is a recipe for success. That is a clear indication that that friendship, that relationship will stand the test of time. So always value your friends that you know you can depend on, that you know you can rely upon, and the ones you know will bail you out when you need to be bailed out. Because people like that don't come along every day. And also, the other type of friend that you should keep within your inner circle and stay as close to as possible is the type of friend who is actually going places. As I said before, if you hang out constantly with people who are lazy, don't do shit with their lives, and who aren't productive, that is going to, over time, trickle down to you. But if you hang out enough with people who do have goals, who are productive, who are going somewhere with their lives, and who do have a future, chances are their lifestyle and their way of thinking will rub off on you. And when it comes to something like this, that is nothing but a good thing. Because you should want to go further in life. You should want to progress. You should want more out of your life than you already have right now. And if you have friends who are on that path, who are on that mentality and on that progressive shit, then those are the type of friends you need to spend as much time with as possible. Because friends like that are friends who are an asset and not a liability. It's people like that who will motivate you and in some cases push you to get out of your comfort zone, do more than what's expected of yourself, and also in many cases to break out of your toxic negative habits. Because real friends who are going places, who have goals and want dreams, they want their real friends along for the ride with them. And when you have friends like that who want you to grow with them, who want you to progress with them, and want to see your dreams come true the way their dreams are coming true, then you can't ask for any better friends than that. When you have people like that in your life, you should get on your knees and thank God or whatever else you believe in for the fact that you are that fortunate. Because when you hang around people enough who want more out of their lives and who are putting in the work to get more out of their lives, you can't help over time but to become that same person too. And I'm telling you from experience, there is not a damn thing that is wrong with that. So make sure you keep these kind of friends close to you and keep them around and do right by them, because the places that you guys can go together will be places you really do not want to miss out on. And lastly, the type of friends that you should keep around, stay close to, and the type who are legit your real friends are the ones who genuinely care about you. Unfortunately, there will be some people who will be friends with us just for their own personal gain, for their own agenda. And when they're done using us and getting what they want out of us, then they have no use for us anymore. And I know from experience, it sucks when you find that out about certain people who you thought were your friends, who you thought were down for you, but at the end of the day, they were just using you. And sadly, yes, people like that are not our real friends. People like that do not have our best interest at heart. But the ones that do have our best interest at heart and the ones who are down for us are the ones who are friends with us no matter what. No matter what our financial status is, no matter what our social status is, no matter what we can or can't do for them, they are still our friends and they still look out for us because they fucking care. They're not just reliable. They're not just the type that motivates you to do better and rise up. But most importantly of all, they genuinely want us around. They genuinely care and love us. And they genuinely want to be our friends. Because your real friends, the real people who are down for you, will be down for you regardless of how much time goes by, regardless of what your social status is, and regardless of whether or not you can do for them what they can do for you. Because friends like that, people like that, are the ones who are going to be around for the long haul. No matter what may come between you guys, whether it's time, whether it's distance, whether it's having your own family, having your own career, responsibilities, whatever it may be, no matter what may try to come between you guys, that person still stays your friend. You guys may have a fight here and there or a falling out here and there, but at the end of the day, you do not let that come between the friendship. Because those that are really down for you are the ones who will be there for you even if you have nothing, and in some cases, even if you two are at each other's throats. Because those are the friendships, those are the relationships that do last a lifetime. They're not friends with you because of what you can do for them. They're not friends with you because of your social status or any other superficial bullshit. No, they are friends with you because they genuinely like having you around. They value your friendship. They value the conversations you guys have together, the time you spend together, all of it. They value that most important of all. And that is what makes a friendship worth having. So always value friends like this, never take them for granted, and always show them how much you appreciate having them in your life. And most of all, always do right by them as they would do right by you. So, my final thoughts on this whole topic are this. As we get older, it gets a lot harder to maintain friendships. I could definitely speak from experience over these last few years. It's definitely become a lot more challenging to maintain close friends. I still maintain close friendships with my friends from high school and a few others, but just in general, as far as modern times, it is very hard for me these days to make new friends and also maintain new friends. And I'm not just talking about friends that I can go to a bar with after work or go to a club with or a party with or anything along those lines. I'm talking about friends who I can talk about the most personal, deepest shit in my life with, and they won't judge me for it. And they can also talk to me about the most personal, deep shit in their life, and I also won't judge them for it. And yes, admittedly so, it is harder to maintain those close friendships when you do get older. But one positive that does come from getting older is having a better eye for what makes somebody a good friend and what makes somebody a bad friend. And I guess because of that, I've become more picky with who I decide to be friends with these days. If I do notice some of those qualities in them that I spoke about in this episode today, I do keep my distance. And with that being said, it does become harder as you get older to find those qualities in a friend that makes them a real friend. But I do say, even though you are getting older, and even if it does become harder to maintain those friendships, that does not mean that you should not try. Because real legit friends, friends that you can rely on, friends who want you to grow with them and progress with them, and friends who genuinely care about you is one of the greatest things you can ever have in this life. Having family is great, having a spouse is great, having kids is great, and all that jazz. But when you have legit friends who you have a bond with and a bond that just can't be broken for shit, that is as much of a blessing as all of those things are. Because I don't know where I would be today without a lot of the close friends I have made throughout my life. Many of them I'm still friends with to this day, and even people you've seen on this podcast before. Shout out to Banano Rahmani. So, yes, even when you do become older, even when you become more of a loner when you get older, it is still important to have close friends. And also, it's very important to know who is a real friend and what makes a real friend and what's a shitty friend and the qualities that make up a shitty friend. Because while it is better to be alone than be in bad company, good company isn't something you should shy away from. So that's why I say, if you are lucky enough to have those type of friends that are real friends, that are ride or die, and whose loyalty you never have to question, be grateful that you are that lucky. Be grateful that you are that fortunate. And be grateful that no matter how much time goes by, no matter what happens in you guys' lives, that they are still in it. So value your real friends, cut off the fake ones, because doing that will make the difference in your self-esteem, your future, and your overall quality of life. Well, that's all the time I have for you guys today here on For the Birds. And like I said before, I'm not a licensed doctor or a therapist, but I do have a lot of experience in my personal life in dealing with these issues. So I like to use this podcast as a platform in helping others in dealing with these issues a lot easier than I did. And if you ever want to talk to me or chop it up with me in any way, shape, or form, you could follow me on my various social media sites, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. For Facebook and LinkedIn, you could look up my first and last name, Kurt Cadet. For Instagram, you could look up my name, Conscious Kurt. Send me a friend request, message, whatever you prefer. I would love to chop it up with you in any way. And also, if you ever want to listen to this and other past episodes of For the Birds, you can find it on Spotify, Spreaker, or YouTube. Like it, subscribe to it, leave comments under the episodes, and send me any suggestions you may have. But regardless, I will be here for a long time to come on For the Birds, talking about different forms of negative and toxic behavior, the effects that behavior has on us and our mental health, and what we can do to have a better understanding of it and more control over it in order to have a better quality of our lives in the future. And until next time, this is Conscious Kurt for another edition of For the Birds. Take care, have a good rest of your week, and remember, don't be an asshole in real life or social media, because that shit is for the birds. Have a good one, guys.